When the name Russell Mulcahy is brought up for movies, fans will remember him for two well-known properties. The one fans will most fondly remember is Mulcahy's first entry in movies, that being Highlander. The other widely recognized character that Mulcahy made a movie on was The Shadow. Of course, in between those was Mulcahy's biggest blunder, which was Highlander 2: The Quickening. That same year, though, Mulcahy also directed this movie, featuring a different up-and-coming star. A young Denzel Washington was making his way through movies, leaving a generally memorable impression on the characters he took on. At the time, the last big film that Washington got people's attention in was Glory. He wasn't a lead, but his supporting role still played a very big part in the story. The plot here is about Nick Stiles, played by Denzel Washington, a cop who skyrockets to a high promotion after foiling the plans of Earl Talbot Blake, played by John Lithgow. Upon this moment, Blake makes it his mission to ruin the life Stiles built for himself after he breaks out of prison. Once he does, Stiles is already the district attorney and has a wife, Alice, played by Victoria Dillard, and kids. The original story was written by Menno Meyjes from The Color Purple, Empire of the Sun, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and Fred Dekker of House and Night of the Creeps fame. The screenplay was then adapted by Stephen E. D'Souza, who wrote for Commando, The Running Man, and Die Hard. Together, these individuals produce a very mindless action thriller. There is entertainment value to be had, it's just not a story that is a game changer in the genre. A lot of what makes this viewing experience a fluff show are a few things. One is that there are moments that are meant to be lighthearted. The dialogue, though, just makes it sound like it's trying to be a buddy cop movie. Even though Stiles' partner, Larry, played by Kevin Pollak, isn't the funniest if the laughter is relying on him alone. Some of the lines Blake says are also typical villain-esque, like, "You're fired." There's also an issue with proof blindly being disregarded by people that any sane person could figure out. It's like when there's an obvious change to something that's clear as day and yet no one can see that change. It looks stupid that anyone could fall for such an obvious call-out. Then there's just the unrealistic events that happen in various spots. Two guys saber fight in the middle of a jail mess hall? Okay, who gave the inmates the approval to do that? It's things that take place such as this that question how much in the real world would this happen. Apparently there is some valid connections to it though. Actress Mary Ellen Trainor plays a news reporter by the name of Gail Wallens. She also played the same character in Die Hard, 3 years before. So, a Die Hard expanded universe? Strange. Guess D'Souza was kind of thinking for the long term. Aside from these flaws, there are still good parts to the feature. All the actors provide what they can. Denzel Washington is still the likable protagonist very few, if anyone, would want to see harmed. John Lithgow as Blake is a decent villain. He certainly can make his presence known, and definitely shows no mercy for whoever he has his sights on. Lithgow would later play Lord Farquaad in Shrek. There are appearances from other actors like Ice-T, Lindsay Wagner, John Amos, John Cothran, Little M. Cheshier, Sherman Howard, also known as Bub from the original Day of the Dead, and even Jessie Ventura. The action and violence on scene is not abundant, but when it's there, the viewer won't miss it. Some of it is actually pretty gruesome, which is why it clashes with the comedy bits. It's not a dark comedy. The camera work fits well with the picture though, shot by Peter Levy, who worked on A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child, and Predator 2. The shots are correctly taken with no real issues. For the film score, Alan Silvestri took the job of composing the music. While the album for it contains only a third of the entire runtime, the tracks work to the film's credit. Several of the cues have similar sounds to that of prior works like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. There are lots of horn blasts and timpani rumbles. Not the strongest composition, but still a fun listen. Premise-wise, the story is fine, but the details within it, tone of certain scenes, and hyper-violent action makes this more of a fluff piece. Maybe consider it Die Hard light, since it's in the same universe. It has good acting, action, camera work, and music.